We're at Stetson University because it's the Hall of Fame weekend. And we're here with Hall of Fame member Phil Wharton. Phil, I know you were born in West Virginia. Get us from West Virginia to graduation from college, if you could.
I'd be glad to, Tina. First of all, I'd like to thank FBA and the Legacy Committee for considering me for this project. It's a real honor, and glad we could do that today here at Stetson when we're enjoying the Hall of Fame weekend. I had a lot of influence at home. My father was in his high school band in Parkersburg, West Virginia, played clarinet, ironically, what my instrument was, and he was a great influence in that at my early years, probably in the 4th or 5th grade. We used to go to West Virginia for vacations every year to see the family, as a lot of people do, and the high school band would be practicing in the summertime, the marching band. And he was from one of the, let's say, the military style with the cross belts, and a very fine band, the Parkersburg High School Big Red Band. And his band director, George Dietz, he was kind of a Ravelli type individual, back old school. So Dad had some good training, but I fell in love with bands and band music from a real early age. And then we had to move to Florida when I was in the 1st grade in 1953, I guess, from Parkersburg. And I was in elementary school, then moved to Florida because of my brother's asthma. And just one thing led to another all through elementary school. But I remember one day in particular in the 5th grade, the junior high band in Lakeland brought a Dixieland band over to the elementary school I was attending. And I just thought that was something. They had the garters on the arm, and they were pretty good for junior high kids. And clarinet, and I thought, ooh, this band has a clarinet in it. So the one thing led to another, and I really, really became enthralled with bands. So at Lakeland Junior High, I started getting instruction in the 7th grade. My dad was a great encouragement at home. Then that band director, Bob Blanton, Robert E. Blanton, got the job at Lakeland High School when I was going into the 10th grade. Had him 7th, 8th, and 9th. So I only had one band director in my life, was Robert E. Blanton, all the way through high school. And he became a great influence in my life, and because of him, I attribute the fact that I wanted to be like him. I wanted to teach band. I wanted to teach music and be a music teacher in my life. I lived at the band room, as most people did at that time when they were really getting excited about bands in high school, and did lots of things, learned the trade, learned librarian work, I learned to conduct. I was a drum major, and he let me conduct on a couple of concerts, so I felt comfortable doing that. And then in my senior year, he got an appointment, if you will, or an opportunity for myself and Lawrence and Lowell Brown, who were twin brothers and my good friends at Lakeland High School. We went to the University of Southern Mississippi in February and auditioned for a scholarship, and of course the rest is history, as they say. We were given the scholarship and out-of-state tuition. We really loved the campus. It was during their conductors conference in February of that year. That would have been spring of '65. And so we were looking forward to going to Southern Miss and majoring in music from that point. So that gets me up through college, and then from there I came home and went in the Army for 2 years out of college, because this was right during Vietnam, the end of the 60s.
Oh my!
So
well,
I didn't
thank you for your service.
Thank you. I didn't get to start my career, my music career, right away. I was a 2-year gap in there, but that kind of brings us up to that point, though.
Well, tell us how you began your teaching career, where and what was it like, and then where did it go from there?
Well, in the fall of, I guess it would probably be in the winter, maybe of 1971, I believe it was, I was working part-time for Publix, just trying to had a new bride and a young baby that had come along at that time, our daughter, and needed some money, so I worked part-time for Publix because there were no teaching jobs. And then one day I got a call from Roy Wood. Roy Wood was the music supervisor in Polk County at that time. That would have been the spring of 1972, and he said, I had my application in with Polk County. Said there's going to be an opening at Fort Meade High School. The principal's looking for a new band director. The man that's been there for a number of years is kind of semi-retiring, going to the middle school, needs somebody to take over the high school band. I thought, my opportunity. So I got on my best suit and my shirt and tie and went to Fort Meade and had a nice interview with the principal, James Page, and he hired me on the spot. So I don't know whether they didn't have any other applicants or whether he was that impressed, but I said I'd be thrilled to have the job. So from that point forward, I was fixing the library and inventorying instruments all through the summer, trying to get ready for the next year. And it was quite a challenging year because not many kids in the band. The bands had never been to festival before. This band had never been to an FBA festival, marching or concert, none of that. So those kids were in for a real experience that year, and we tried to build that program from 41 kids. I think by the time I left in 1979, there was like 140 in the band, something like that. We bought new uniforms, took a trip to Washington, and started making superiors. So it was a very good experience at that point. Then the Lake Gibson High School was opening in the fall of 1979, brand new school, the third high school in the Lakeland area, and the principal and assistant principal of that school were Jim Booth and Tom McDonald. Many of you that are watching this now probably know Tom McDonald. Very successful band director, especially at Kathleen High School in Lakeland in the 60s and 70s. Well, Tom was the assistant principal and going to be of the new high school. And he called me one day and said, "Phil, I think you need to apply for this job. It's going to be a nice school. We've got some good things planned." So I thought, well, okay. And so I did, and good things happened again. We got the job and just started a brand new program, the first of two, and we'll explain the other one in just a moment. Most of the students that came to us were from Lakeland High School and Kathleen High School, established programs, so we had players. We had to establish new traditions, as is the case in most new programs. So a lot of the same kind of challenges. We were on double session with the junior high, Lake Gibson Junior High, next door for the whole first semester until the band room was finished. Of course, it was the last part of the school was finished, the band room. They had to do everything, all the academics first. But we got by. We shared a band room. We went to festival that year, marching festival, got a 1. Was not as successful at the concert MPA. I think we got 2s that year, but it was a very good growing experience for me, and I had a lot of good folks around me that helped me, and we'll talk a little bit more about ear training and training one's ears and listening skills a little bit later in the interview. But then another challenge came along. I was at Lake Gibson High School for 26 years, 7 at Fort Meade, 26 years at Lake Gibson, had suitable success. We're real proud of what we accomplished there. And then it was time for another challenge. So Ridge Community High School was opening in the fall of 2005. So I along with Roanna Combs, interviewed for the band and chorus job respectively there, and the lady was impressed with the credentials, and so we got that job, and that was probably the biggest challenge of my whole career, was setting up that program absolutely from scratch. We had maybe 40, 50 kids, and they were not grounded in fundamentals, let's say. You can use your imagination with that. So we had some challenges there the first few years. Had no band room again for the whole first semester. Had the classes in the cafeteria, me standing on a cafeteria table with the kids standing trying to learn marching music. No practice field. We learned to march in the hallway with strips of tape on the tile, how to do 8 to 5, whispering because we didn't want to interrupt the classes. So it was a challenge, but again, we were somewhat successful in that program too, and decided it was time to retire in 2010 then.
What a career. Well, you talked about some of the challenges. Are there other things that came up that you'd like to discuss?
Well, the Fort Meade job, I remember the first band meeting, there was, I think, 40 kids, no percussionists. This was marching band now, they were all playing football. So I asked for volunteers, and I got 1 snare, one cymbal, 1 tenor drum, we didn't have quads back then, and a bass drum player, trumpet player, clarinet player, and they learned a little easy cadence to get us on and off the field. So that would kind of give you an idea of what we were up against there. All the drums heads had been ripped, so we had to replace all of that. The library was in shambles. Things were just thrown in drawers to try to get all that organized. And I'm a pretty organized person, so that was that was the challenge for me to get things. The uniforms were all kind of tattered, no hats. There were not enough hats to go around. So we solved that the next year and did a uniform campaign and got money for brand new uniforms. And of course, you thought we'd hung the moon then, because people were very proud of the band when they saw it at the games or parades. And then we, of course, wore those uniforms on the concert stage too, because we couldn't afford tuxes, and that was before the days where bands actually wore tuxedos everybody wore their band uniforms on the stage. You remember that, don't you, Tina? But I must add that during my years as where I was fortunate and honored to be the FBA president and FMEA president, if it wasn't for my colleague Roanna Combs, I don't know how work could have gotten done in the program, because our program at Lake Gibson High School especially, because things were going pretty well. It had grown. We had 2 concert bands, a pretty large marching band, a jazz band, and she had a full vocal program during the day and was teaching piano, full piano studio. So she had to wear 2 hats really while I was out of town on a lot of meetings, and the program would not have survived to the level that it did. Plus she learned to conduct. All that by OJT. She learned to listen. She learned to interpret music. And somewhere about probably the 5th or 6th year of our years together at Lake Gibson, she started being on the podium on a regular basis at MPAs, learning to conduct, and did a wonderful job because she had a good ear anyway. She was a good piano player, and I was just happy to have her along to share the ride and to help out, because couldn't have done it without her.
Well, it's nice that you're acknowledging that.
Well,
in your career, talk about pivotal moments or influential people, please.
I was extremely fortunate in Polk County to teach at a time when some of the giants in our profession were actually there. William C. Miller at Lakeland High School. Tom Bishop, when he was teaching, didn't teach much longer at Lake Wales while I was teaching. He got into the administrative role, but he was still around for consultation and example. Jack Crew, probably more than any others in our county, I enjoyed going into Jack's band room, watching him work the Lakeland High School band. Of course, they were playing literature, but it was far more difficult than what I was able to accomplish at Lake Gibson across town. But the fact was that him and Dave Fultz and Frank Howells, people like that, where John DeYoung, were in the county just minutes away from me, that I could go and watch them or have them come into my band room and work with my students and me watch them. How did Jack get that sound? Well, he just did. He had magic. Everybody knows that knows Jack Crew. He'd say, I want you to get the most gorgeous, beautiful sound that you can. And I tried to do that, but then I found out a little bit about what some of the secrets were that he had to take an all-county band, and in 10 minutes he could make it sound like the Chicago Symphony or whoever it might be. Just a wonderful band experience. And through people like that, I really tried to learn the trade a little bit more and learn how to work my ears and what I was really working for in a band sound, and how to achieve that, how to teach the students to do that type of thing. But I remember one particular incident after an MPA event in Lakeland. It was at Branscombe Auditorium, and Andre Arroway was on the panel along with Fred Humphreys and Bob Price. Bob was the director at Chamberlain for many years. They were the panel. That was the district panel.
That's quite a panel.
Quite a stellar panel. But this was the second year at Lake Gibson, and first year we made 2s on stage and a 1 in sight reading. This year, particularly, we had 1-1, 2 2s on stage, and a superior. Well, I just knew we had it. I knew that. I thought things were really rolling, but I was wrong. So Andre happened to be at the restaurant where my wife were eating that Friday night after we had played earlier, and I was just really down the dumps. I thought I didn't know what I was doing, and which I really didn't at the time. And Andre came over to the table and he says, "Phil, have you listened to your tape yet?" Or tapes. Judge, no, I haven't had a chance to. Well, go home and listen to your tape. Don't do it tonight. Get your head clear. Listen to them tomorrow. So I did, and sure enough, they were right. It wasn't a severe. It was a 2 at best. So from that, it just you can read between the lines. Andre Arroway really opened my eyes, and he had the courtesy to come over and really talk to me that night as a friend. So it was good to have someone like that to encourage you in the right way, and of course from that I just started listening more And I think the biggest thing was when I finally was able to get on the judges list and start judging solos and ensembles and having to make decisions and make comments on the spur of the moment, taught me to do a better job with my own students in class, and how to teach them to do what I myself wanted to do. That was to play more musical, to play with a better sound, all the things that we're all striving for in front of bands.
Great. What about more words of wisdom or advice you'd like to pass on?
I have the great privilege and opportunity to work with a lot of young teachers. In Polk County, I worked with first-year teachers for several years. Beth Cummings, our music person, our music crew, has asked me to go out, along with Dave Fultz and some others of my age that are doing that type of thing. And I see a lot of the same kind of mistakes from young teachers. And for all of you that are watching this, and I feel certain that others have said the same type things on these legacy interviews, teach because you love kids. Teach because you're passionate about making music, and making music in the right way, not just blowing the horn. I mean, being emotional in what you do. And I'm a pretty passionate guy when I come on the podium, whether it was with my own bands or if I'm guest conducting. The kids kind of understand that, well, I'm not a wallflower. I really get into what's going on. And I like for young kids to figure out the ways to do that with their own bands. I see too many young people that are doing it, and I hate to use the word ego, but maybe that's the best word to use right now. They're doing it to feed their own ego. And that's not the correct way to do. You need to be passionate about kids, about teaching kids. And I think Gary Langford said it really well last night in his closing remarks when he accepted the Hall of Fame award, the Role of Distinction award at the concert last evening. I think that that's the main thing that I would like to share right now. But I mean, it's obvious when you come out of college you're supposed to have musical skills and out of a textbook. But when you get in front of those warm adolescent bodies and try to teach them how to to form a clarinet embouchure and play with a good sound, a characteristic sound, a little bit different. Don't get discouraged. Work with what you have and try to be successful with what the material is, both physical material and warm bodies that you have in your program. And do ask for help. If you don't remember anything else from this watching this interview, don't be afraid, young people, to get out and solicit the help of the veteran teachers in your area. And if there's not any in your immediate county, call somebody. There are a lot of us retired folks who would love to come and help you get through some of the struggles that you might be having with your own programs.
Well, particularly because some of those are the same struggles that you had to go through, so you thoroughly understand. Talk about your personal character and concepts that you want to instill in students in order to be able to achieve high quality music.
Well, as I was talking about training your ears, it starts with tone quality. It starts with sound. And if we don't know how to teach that to our young people, then we're kind of missing the whole boat. That's what it starts with. As far as personal characteristics go, I'm basically a pretty humble guy. It's difficult for me to say these things right now, but I put a lot of faith and had a lot of respect for my fellow colleagues that I still do. Even I haven't been retired for 5 years now, or 4.5. I still learn from other people, and I just hope that the young folks that are coming out into the future of our profession will see fit to do that and swallow their pride and say, I need help picking music for such and such, or I can't get my French horns to play in tune with one another. Good luck on that one, by the way. And or I can't get my clarinets to sound like clarinet players. But I tried to excel in everything that I did. I tried to make the journey enjoyable for myself and for my students. And again, back to Roanna Combs, we fed off of each other in what we did. We got to where we could read each other's minds. I was never in front of the band when she was in front of the band. I was always to the side. We talked about it later, but we had a team effort going there, and I encourage the folks that are watching, even the experienced people, to get somebody that you can rely on into your band room from time to time, and that you can share with, and that will be honest with you in what they're seeing, and even record yourself. I hated to do that. I hated to record myself. I'd record the rehearsal, but to see myself conducting was not a favorite thing that I did. But that's how you learn. That's how we learn what we're doing, what we look like, and just trying to learn, continue to learn even at an older age.
Well, I know that you believe deeply in FBA and the networking system that it has. Could you expand on that just a bit?
Well, you hit it on the head. I do believe in FBA. I wouldn't have been a member for so long, and have had the leadership type positions that I've been honored to have through the years. But the young people that have an opportunity to serve the profession, and that take advantage of going to summer convention or go to the FBA, even if you don't have a student in All-State, take advantage of going over there and take advantage of the opportunities to learn from the other people that are giving clinics or sitting around having coffee. And sometimes you learn more that way than you do otherwise. And that we respect the knowledge that's out there, and you may not know until you just sit down and start talking to somebody, like what Tina and I have done many times over our careers, and just picking each other's brains and doing things.
Absolutely.
But I encourage you to do that, and don't be standoffish with it.
Well, what did you do to keep your energy level up all those years?
Well, I really always tried to teach and to use quality literature in the band room with our students. Our students got to where they were ready to play concert literature the first day of school. They didn't want to keep reviewing the marching music. They liked marching band, but it was because of the growth that they had experienced. And even the kids in the concert band, in the second band, they were wanting to play, they wanted to reminisce the previous year's spring, where let's pull out some of those tunes and read Festive Overture or Overture to Candide or something of that, the first day of school. They wanted to do those things. So they fed off of me, I fed off of them, and it was just where we tried to excel in what we were doing. I brought in clinicians abundantly. One in particular that a lot of folks in our profession have used is Joe Krynas, who happens to be here this weekend, still going strong, still going out in band rooms, still driving 30,000 miles a year to see other people's bands and to help them all that he can. But folks like that, have them in. And the bands that we had, we traveled. We went to Europe a couple of times. We went to this parade or that parade, but we tried to play out as much as possible. And the easiest thing is to have people in. Have people into your band room, and don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid of what they're going to say, or if your band room's not as straight as it needs to be. But after 26 years at Lake Gibson and toward the end of the career, when it was time to start a brand new school, I still had a little bit of energy left to do that. I don't think I could do it now, but it was one of those things where you're always looking for a new challenge, and I appreciated those opportunities.
Well, now that you are retired, and I know you're still actively adjudicating and actively working with intern teachers, what else are you doing to keep creative and also just to have fun?
Well, the just to have fun part be easy, because I don't have that much time to have the outside fun. I love to play golf with my son, but we don't have that much time regularly to do that. We have 4 granddaughters. One's in college, and she wants to be an anchor news girl one of these days. So it's interesting to see her developing her career. One of the granddaughters plays junior golf and beats the pants off of me, so I enjoy playing with her also. But family, very close family. I enjoy all that, and family get-togethers for fun. As far as keeping the juices flowing and the batteries charged, as you said, Tina, I love to work with young directors. I mentor them and get out as much as I can, or if I'm invited to come into a band room, I work as a clarinet clinician regularly with a couple of different schools, middle schools in the county. Guest conduct. I play in John DeYoung, or used to be John DeYoung's concert band, but John's retired. But I played in that band regularly and get to conduct him in February on that concert. They were having some guest conductors for this year, but I've been asked to be the music supervisor, the intern supervisor for Florida State interns for this coming semester and hopefully future semesters across Central Florida. I just try to attend as many performances on the outside as I can and keep the ears working and stay in touch with what's going on. And as I like to say, stay connected with the profession and not to be put out to pasture just yet. So I still have reasonable good health, so it's good to get out. It's good to be seen and be active.
Well, we just have time for one short story.
My short
finish
story,
us up?
yep, I sure will. I'll be glad to. I think the thing that would demonstrate my satisfaction as a band director is just seeing the success that my son has had as a band director. My daughter's also a teacher. Our daughter, my wife, she teaches 5th grade as a board certified teacher, so she's very into what she's doing, very respected teacher in that respect. But Brad has been at Lakeland High 6, 7, 8 years, something like that, doing a great job over there. I enjoy going over and watching him work. He and I have a great relationship, as I do with Michelle, our daughter, but there's hardly a day goes by that we don't have a chance to share the profession in some way. Dad, what did you do about this? I know you played such and such. Would you come over and work the band one day? Those kind of experiences are just invaluable, and I enjoy that very much, and certainly enjoy watching him work. He knows far more than I did, and has shown that at this point in his career. So it's nice to see that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as they say. Thank you for the opportunity to share my thoughts with you, and call me if I can be of help. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time and your expertise.
My pleasure.